Hey everyone, a massive, enthusiastic welcome to all of you Genesis International College students joining us today. You are tuning in to a crucial explainer covering your coursework for Unit CPCCCM2008. We're zeroing right in on Topic 3 today, erecting restricted height modular scaffolding up to 4 meters. And look, this isn't just about ticking boxes to pass a course, right? This is about arming you with the exact, definitive knowledge you're going to need to operate safely and effectively on any real-world construction site. So grab a coffee, get focused, because we have a ton of fantastic, practical ground to cover. Now, this guide is designed specifically for you. As Genesis students, your whole mantra is to learn, grow, and evolve. Well, in the construction industry, evolving doesn't just mean mastering the tools. It means mastering the safety and planning frameworks that literally keep everyone alive. Your future success on site depends entirely on your ability to confidently handle, erect, and dismantle these scaffolding systems, all while working seamlessly with your crew. So we're going to break down those complex legislative requirements and Australian standards into crystal clear, actionable steps. Let's do this. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be following a chronological order that perfectly mirrors a real job site workflow. We'll start with 1. An introduction to scaffolding. Then 2. Safety and planning first. 3. Erecting the scaffold. 4. Inspecting the scaffold. And finally 5. Handing over the scaffold.
All right, moving into Section 1, Introduction to Scaffolding.
Before we even think about picking up a spanner or a leveling jack, we need to understand exactly what it is we're building. According to SafeWork Australia, scaffolding is simply a temporary structure erected to support access or working platforms. Now, let's be real. Gravity never takes a day off on a job site. That is exactly why your ultimate priorities are creating a safe and stable environment when work just can't be done at ground level. Whether you've got a painter reaching a tricky ceiling or a bricklayer out on a second-story facade, they are relying entirely on the integrity of your structure. No pressure, right?
That brings us to Section 2, Safety and Planning First.
Because of the incredibly high-risk nature of scaffolding, this planning phase demands massive respect for the rules, way before a single piece of steel is ever lifted. Now, what's really interesting about this rule is the hard legal boundary for this unit. It clearly states, if a person or object has the potential to fall from greater than 4 meters, then a trained and licensed person must have regularly inspected and certified the scaffold before use. Remember, this specific unit, CPCCCM2008, restricts you to modular scaffolding up to a maximum height of exactly 4 meters. Everything you build has to conform strictly to AS/NZ's 4576. Those are the national guidelines. Basically, you absolutely must know your limits. So how do we actually plan effectively within those limits? Where does all the task info come from? Well, you've got to gather it from multiple reliable sources. You're going to be looking at architectural plans, specs, and elevation drawings. You absolutely must consult your SWMS. That's your Safe Work Method Statement, which, by the way, is legally required for any work involving a fall risk of more than 2 meters. You might also be using a JSEA, your Job Safety and Environmental Analysis, your cross-referencing work orders, safety codes, and, crucially, the specific instructions straight from the scaffold manufacturer. And finally, a thorough physical site inspection is essential to spot hazards and map out access. Once you've got your paperwork sorted, it's time to do a little bit of math. Calculating your scaffold and material requirements is step 1 of the physical prep. First, check your plans to establish the total length of the work area. Second, simply divide that total building length by the length of one single scaffold section. Boom, that gives you your total number of bays. Third, use those elevation drawings to figure out your maximum height, keeping that hard 4-meter limit in mind. Crucially here, your lift heights, that's the distance between your platforms. They need to allow for a comfortable working reach for whatever specific task is happening. Painting a ceiling requires a different reach than laying bricks. And lastly, map out any site obstructions or escape routes that might mess with your footings.
Let's shift gears and get into the build. Section 3, Erecting the Scaffold.
The paperwork is signed off, the math is checked, and the materials are calculated. It's time to hit the tools. The ultimate goal of this erection process is creating a totally secure, rock-solid environment that supports our tradespeople safely and efficiently. Notice how perfectly level a well-built platform is, and how tight and secure those guardrails are? Yeah, that doesn't just happen by accident. It happens through a meticulous, step-by-step build sequence. So the crucial point here is that you must follow this build sequence to the absolute letter. Always begin by establishing level footings on compacted ground, strictly following Australian Standard 1576.1 2010. Next, add your screw jacks to the base plates to make sure everything is perfectly level. Then come the vertical standards. And here's a quick pro tip. Stagger these throughout the scaffold so the joints aren't all lined up in the exact same place. It's a game changer for structural integrity. After that, add horizontal transoms across the width to tie the standards together, followed by the ledgers, and finally, lock the whole shebang in by securing all your transverse and longitudinal bracing. Okay, let's slow the pace down just a bit for Section 4, Inspecting the Scaffold. Listen closely here. The job is absolutely not done just because the steel is standing. Actually, scratch that. Your work is never truly done while the scaffold is up. Inspecting is an ongoing, highly dynamic process. As the scaffold gets used day in and day out, components wear down. Accidental damage from machinery or drop materials, it happens all the time. And never underestimate the environment. Weather can cause serious corrosion over time. Continuous monitoring is literally the only way to ensure it stays safe. When you're conducting an inspection, you are acting as the competent person on site. And this checklist, it's non-negotiable. You're checking the footings again. Are the sole plates still sitting level on compacted ground? You're checking every single connection. Are the wedges driven home? Are the cluster connectors tight? Look closely at the planking. There must be absolutely zero gaps, and they have to be secured against wind uplift. Guardrails are huge. Check that mid-rails and top rails are correctly installed on all open sides. And hey, don't forget the toe boards. They've got to be a minimum of 150 millimeters high and clipped securely so nobody accidentally kicks a heavy tool off the edge. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly when these inspections have to happen. For scaffolds with a fall risk of less than 4 meters, the law dictates 3 specific checkpoints. Point 1, immediately after the initial erection and strictly before anyone actually uses it. Point 2, after any incident, repair, alteration, or addition to the structure. And point 3, on a routine, ongoing basis, at least every 30 days. And remember, every single one of these inspections must be formally documented in your scaffold inspection log. No exceptions. All right, we are at the final stage of the workflow. Section 5, handing over the scaffold. You've built it, you've inspected it, now it is time to pass the baton to the trades who will actually be working on it. Handing over a scaffold requires a bit of what we call chalk and talk, really clear professional communication. A scaffold is never ever handed over for use until it has been completely inspected by a competent person and officially commissioned. At this stage, a handover certificate has to be completed. This vital piece of paper confirms to everyone on site that the structure was built to the planned design and that it 100% complies with all relevant Australian standards. As we wrap up today's explainer, I really want to leave you with this provocative thought. Think about it. Your scaffold might look perfectly built, strong and level, but is it legally safe for the next trade to step onto? Until that handover certificate is officially signed, the answer is no. Because safety isn't just about turning a spanner. It's a shared, continuous, and deeply documented duty. Keep that at the very forefront of your mind as you crush the rest of your Genesis International College coursework, and you will be well on your way to becoming a highly respected professional on any job site. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep evolving.